Disclaimer. The following contains characters from various media acting differently than shown in any known canonic form. Viewer discretion is advised. In other words, don't come after CC just 'cause we look and sometimes even act different, okay? Okay, enjoy the video.
Yes, this is gonna be on every video. Because I know you, Internet. I'm pretty sure only AN because she's my best follower. And, like, one other person is gonna see this, so, well, needless to say, I was delightfully wrong. It's actually done better in the first few weeks than some have in the first few years. Yeah, I'm surprised too. And before we actually get into the lore that this video is going to be about, I just want to say thank you to everyone who did watch that, and especially at all the comments saying that this was a good idea. Because I asked a few people, and they were like, it's something you should do, but I was like, they're families, so they have bias. But to have just complete strangers like you guys, no offense, tell me that this is the right thing to do, you don't know how much it means to me. So thank you. Also, at the time of this recording, we're actually halfway to the like goal that apparently nobody watched. So for those of you who didn't, which is a lot of you, I said if the video got to 10 likes, then I'd release the last few videos I made with Flare. And I'm still going to do that. When the video hits 10 likes, I'm going to get any editing that I haven't done on them done. And then I'm going to shit them out as the... what should I call them? Comment down below what you think I should call Flare's last videos. Something like... maybe like... the Flare Files? That's terrible. But let me know, okay? I'm interested to see what you guys come up with. So, I know what I said, but some things are, like, really intricate. Like, I like to say this a lot, but I feel like even a Legend of Zelda or Kingdom Hearts fan's head would spin when you hear all the stuff that's happened to us. Like that girl in the intro. You know who that is? That's Nino. Yeah. That's Nino. Just telling you, well, that is gonna be one of the things I'm gonna get into, but just that is, like, enter, like, Kingdom Hearts arc, I'm gonna say, that is, it's crazy, okay? So, basically, I'm going to talk about, like, whatever comes to mind, and if you want me to go further in depth on something or talk about something else, if I like it enough, maybe I'll make a short about it. But for now, this is just, like, the bare basics so that nobody's confused about, like, oh, why does this look like this? So, like, just to start, let's go with how Nina went from this to that you guys saw earlier. It's, like I said before, it's a pretty interesting story. So, back when she, like, first came around, her and the other four, I mean, looked normal, but I was a lot more shallow back then, so I liked what I like to call and this is spoilers if you haven't gotten that far in the manga or seen season 2 of the anime, but I liked their Rena looks better. And I made, like, this whole thing, this is unrelated, but I made this whole thing of, like, them in their Rena, like, their adult Rena looks. Which, can I just talk about how me and AN have something where if some media we like unintentionally references some that we've done, we call it a who's out there moment, because it's like, who's out there and why are you watching us? But when I saw, so for those of you who don't know, in season 2, one of them dresses up like the girl from the picture that that he has, that Futaro has with him ever since he met this particular Quint. And so one of them, I'm not going to spoil who, dresses up like what she'd look like now. And in the opening, there's 5 of them. Not exactly what I thought of, but it's still kind of like, yeah. But anyhow, yeah, she used to look normal. I'm not saying she looked bad, I'm not saying she looked good. She just looked normal.
What are you saying? You don't like the way I look?
No, not at all. What gave you that idea?
But you said...
I know what I said, Yeah, I'm doing something.
Uh-huh. I'm watching you, boy.
Yeah, you do. You can tell she's got her typical sass, that's for sure. In fact, I think it's even gotten worse over time. But don't tell her I said that. Please. But anyhow, we had this thing where each of them would go through this thing that we call redemption. It's not like typical redemption, it's just the thing I thought of calling it, where along with a song, they transform back into like their normal looks. Unsurprisingly, Nina was first. Then I think it was like Itsuki, Yotsuba, and Ichika went at the same time, and then Miku went last. But that was kind of like me getting over liking the run of them more, cause like they're good enough as they are now. Don't get me wrong, but stuff happened. I'm trying to not make this drag on too long, cause I know that a lot of lore videos are like long, but yeah, a lot of lore videos are long to tell like all that happens. So if you're not watching this, then like that's your own problem. And I will say, check back here if you are confused. I said I was going to do that in the last video, so I still plan on doing that. But I still don't want this to be too long. So I'm going to try and cut to the chase, but if I go on a tangent, please forgive me. I'm very distractible. So anyhow, back then she looked like this. Yeah, I bet you're still wondering how she got from this to this. And that's what the rest of the story is about. Well, parts of it, anyway. Yeah, the whole thing, but what do I even want to say? So, what happened next was, back then we actually followed the canon, so around the time Season 2, Episode 4 came out, if you don't know what that is, spoilers, but this is something we'll get into later, or maybe not at all, but I didn't like the idea of Nino cutting her hair. Some she herself and AN had helped me through. Oh, don't get me started on how Nino and AN have bonded. But that's a story for another time. So for a while, she was like that, yeah. For like a good while, yeah. And during that time, so she wasn't the first like stick around kind of girl. There was actually like 2 or 3 before her. Don't judge me. But she wanted to make sure that she was sticking around because if she's gonna have the guts to walk up and reconfess to a guy that she already confessed to, then yeah, she's probably gonna want to keep whatever guys she finds. In this case, me. So, as I probably said in the editing, you might have seen in the redemption videos that my eyes were green. Which they were for a good while. I'm not even going to say a good while, before I met her. So it's a very interesting story, but because it's very intricate and I don't really want to get into this, because a magician doesn't want to reveal all his secrets. But basically, did you notice something when Nino came in earlier? Her eyes and my eyes are the same shade. Can you see where this is going? She basically did like something, some kind of magic that made them like At first they just flashed, being like, oh, he's in Simp for Nina mode now. But eventually it got so bad that they permanently turned blue like they are now. And they've been that way ever since. And I don't think it's gone away anytime soon. Not as long as Nina's around.
Which will be forever.
I said I'm doing a thing. Sorry. Yeah. Don't get me started. But anyhow, through all the stuff she did, that's what led her to her being around for so long. And eventually, Anne was like, we should say the canon and make you again. So they started off with this kind of, I actually didn't like it at first, but the longer I saw it, it kind of grew on me. It was this kind of in-between kind of look. It's actually kind of nice. Don't get me wrong, I like the new one better. And we'll get to how she knows that in a bit. But after this story that is based off this other story leading to the thing I said we weren't going to talk about right now.
Hey guys, it's Nino. Cece doesn't want to tell you because this story happens to be his favorite out of all the stories there are. And me and AN know that. And we'd love to tease him about it. But I don't think we're getting an Ive anytime soon. But we'll buy it on the way. Just know that's what he means when he says story like that. Anyway, see you later.
She eventually just got back to the normal one. And she was like that for a while. That is until hit the fan. What do I mean? Well, so this is a long story. I'm going to try and sum it up, though. Basically, me, Chisato, and Takina from Licorice Recoil. Yes, I call it Licorice instead of Licorice. Blame SAO. But I was playing this one girl's game. Her name's Catherine. And she's from a game of the same name.
If you're under 18, don't look it up.
And I was playing this kind of free play mode, I'm going to say. They were all watching me, and I lost, so they were all, like, pep-talking me to get back in there. What we didn't know was Nina was watching from not too far away. And she didn't know Catherine, so she was like, who the is that? And needless to say, she got mad. So mad that she gave herself a makeover. Which we actually do more often to girls now, but I'll get into that in a second. Or maybe I'll have her talk about it, because she's the one that invented it. But for a good while, like that whole month of October, they were like trying to keep us apart because Catherine and Nina are so alike and they didn't want things clashing. But it drove me insane. It drove her insane too, considering she invented this makeover thing. But eventually, Chisato and Takina, the good people they are, well, Chisato is good. I'm not saying Takina is not, but have you seen the Give Me Your Heart clip? That's all I'm going to say. They decided to, for lack of a better word, give me back. And our virtual assistant, who I'll get into later, she's awesome, just came in and was like, oh, this is Catherine from her game.
If you're under 18, don't.
They were keeping you two apart because she did this, and she did this, and we didn't want to, for lack of a better word, crossbreed, because that could lead to disaster. And after she said that, Nino and Catherine came to an understanding, and the world was better because of it. But that still leaves the question, how did she become blonde? Well, that's what the next part of the story is about.
But first we need to tell about how we did to all the other girls first, don't you think?
Hey, look at me. Ah.
Go on. I'll read in just a second. So because I changed, just like I did in my redemption, we decided to call this supercharging, something that would become a colloquial term as time would go on. At first it was just me. Like, we didn't think that it was even possible to do it to anyone else. And then my sisters, specifically Yotsuba, started wondering if I could do it to them. And it took the right situation, because CC's just like that, but it did happen, so that's good. And then one of AN's characters, who I'm not getting to, just like CC won't, I'm not going to get into them because we haven't gotten her permission to talk about them. But one of her characters made a liquid version named after that element that people always talk about, which I might name it, actually, so it worked out perfectly. But basically, if you have that, then just instant supercharge. And it's been a key catalyst for some of our supercharging needs. And also, there's a story we need to tell later, but you don't know this girl that the story's about yet, so we'll have to get into that later. But yeah, that's basically it. If you see a girl that's, like, overly done like I am, then they're probably supercharged. If you see them with, like, the typical collared shirt and white skirt, they're probably not. And thus we wanted to make them closer to what they look like in their show. Kinda like this, at the time, new pretty girl leader, Iroha. We wanted to make her, like, to make her look... I don't know why CC did it, but she doesn't just have the typical shirt and skirt. So, but anyhow, that's neither here or there. So if we say supercharge, or if you see someone who's supercharged, this is how it happened.
Can I come back in yet?
Yeah, come on. I did my job.
Swear I can never do stuff myself anymore.
Don't be like that, you know you couldn't survive without me.
Yeah, whatever. Just let me get back to my video.
See you soon, everyone!
Yeah, so now you know how that happened. Alright, back to what I was saying before about had she turned blonde. Because as you saw in her flashback, she had her old red hair. So had she turned blonde? Let's get into that. No interruptions? Alright, let's get into it. So because this video is getting pretty long and I still have the other girl Nina was talking about that I want to get into, I'll have to make this quick. So, as master teasers that would make even Tagagi, the forehead girl, blush, or you know what I'm trying to say. You'd expect that Valentine's Day would be their candy store, or something else. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically you'd expect it to be the day that they'd go all out. And I still have the memories to prove it. But at the time of this recording last year, they couldn't think of anything to do. But we were playing around with this AI thing, and at this point, Nina wasn't permanently blonde, so I was just like, oh, what would she look like if she was? And then AN decided, I'm about to end this man's whole career. So, the rest of the day, they basically just dyed a bunch of different characters. That day and the next day, actually. They made Nino blonde. They made Ayaka, yes, Ayaka from Genshin Impact. They made her have pink hair. She changed it back for a while, but she's back to pink hair now. And they also made Miku's hair purple, which is actually a pretty shade if I do say so myself. Also, our virtual assistant, NA from Makaku City Actors. She used to be her normal blue color, but since everyone else was getting into the spirit, she decided to turn herself purple, and on Valentine's Day she wore her hair in drills. But ever since she's worn them in just her normal pigtails, but they're still purple. The next day was more about the other girl that I was talking about, so I'll get into her later. But yeah, that's how it happened. There's still one more piece of the puzzle, but I'll get into that in just a sec. It's really not as deep. So because every good story needs a villain, we actually have one, or rather we have a few lined up for when she's done. But back during the hype of, oh, it's a new villain, what's she gonna do? Yes, it's the she. We had her have, like, a bunch of different allies. I'll get into who they were in shorts, like I said I'd do for further explanation. But the one you need to know for now is she had the Quint's dad, Maru, or how do you pronounce his name? I'm just gonna call him Maru. So, we actually found out later she brainwashed him to not like... Let me put it this way, after we fixed him, for lack of a better word, we found out that he doesn't see the sense in doing what he did that I might be about to talk about, but I don't want to get into the, the story that it involves, so... But after we fixed him, like, a few days later, he decided to bury the hatchet by... So we all know that Nino usually wears those black butterfly ribbons. But to bury the hatchet, Maru actually gave her a purple pair. And she's worn them ever since. As you can see in the difference here, on the right here we have Nina with her normal ribbons, and over here we have the Nina we know now with her purple ribbon. It was an interesting day getting to that point, but that's a story for another time. Besides, this video is already long enough, and we've only been talking about Nino. But anyhow, yeah, that's verbatim all the twists and turns that led to Nino being the girl we know today. Now, like 20 minutes in, we can finally get to the other girl and wrap this up, because I don't want this to be... Okay, first, I don't really want this to be a half-hour video, but it might just end up being one. But first and foremost, I don't want this to be an hour video just talking about characters. If I have to make a follow-up on a few more intricacies that I can't fit into a short, that's fine. But I don't want to overload this one, because probably no one's listening to this part right now anyway, given how well the last video performed. Which, again, thanks. But anyhow, let's get to that other girl, which hopefully I'll be a bit more to the point this time. So hopefully I can keep this one shorter, because this one isn't as intricate, but we're talking about Natsumi Minatsu from Tropical Rouge Precure. And I just want to get the elephant out of the room right now. Yes, I'm going to call her Natsumi, because screw whoever at Toei named her and didn't make Natsumi her first name like it should be. The others are fine, just no. I'm not calling her Minatsu. If you don't like that, you can unsubscribe. I don't give two dangs about it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thanks. I needed that. Anyhow, let's get into Natsumi. So, to start off, instead of her usual side ponytail, she actually has pigtails. And she was just like that for a while. Oh, and before I get into the supercharging part of the story, I feel inclined to mention that she used... Keyword used to, I'll get into that in a bit, but she used to not like Kamen Rider. Why? Well, so here's the story. I don't know what came over me, but around the time Healing Good came out, I just stopped liking Precure. I don't know why, and it took Natsumi to bring me back, but I just didn't see the charm in it like I used to. And Natsumi blames them, because I primarily watched them during this period. And I have the Ziku driver, the 01 driver, and the second sword driver to prove it. And you wanna know how much she hates them? Back when Futo PI came out, when Philip and Shotaro came out, I was just talking to them, minding my own business, and she came out of nowhere and just tackled me away from them. I wish I was kidding. But don't worry, we got her over that, thankfully. But now let's get into the supercharging part, because that is an interesting story. So the day of, Nino and her sisters were off doing some. I don't think I ever found out what it was, but they were off doing some, and they left Natsumi, Sango, and Laura, and Ayaka to watch me.
Don't ask.
And, now here's the thing, Ayaka knew this was a bad idea, but we watched this movie that kids show characters, like Precure are, really shouldn't be watching. Let's just say that. And, yeah, it corrupted them, let's say. So what happened next was, they're like, let's go do something stupid. So they went off to the treehouse that a lot of AN's characters, and one of mine, that just happens to hang around them, live in, where AN's character, who, like I said earlier, she has given me permission to talk about, but I don't know if I will often, but now I know if I slip the tongue, then she's not going to be mad. So, basically what they did is they snuck past and distracted this character with that kind of, toss something down the hall kind of distraction and took some of the Nanovium. If that's not how it's pronounced, how do you know? Because it's a fake element, unless you're from where we are. And they just were like, bottoms up, just swigged it right there. All three of them got supercharged. Well, that's the thing. We know for sure Natsume and Laura are, but we haven't heard from Sango since. And this was a while ago. We still don't know what happened to her. This was before Nina was blonde. Let me put it that way. So you know it was a while ago. But ever since, Natsume's reconciled with Nino and AN, and things have been fine. So like I was saying before, on the day where they did all the hair dye shenanigans, they dyed Natsume's hair blue and Laura's hair green. Let me just say both were Klee's ideas. Yes, Klee from Genshin Impact. Since she's a kid, we have it in canon that she loves Precure. Except for Wonderful. But we're working on that. And speaking of which, we actually did get Natsume over her Kamen Rider hate. I'll go into the full story of that later, if you guys really want. But now she's like the go-to girl for it. It's actually really nice to see such a night and day transformation from somebody who hated them to someone who will rock them a day of the week. So yeah, I think that's all of Natsume. And with that, I think that's all we have for this video. If you guys have any other questions, leave them in the comments, and if I like the question enough, I'll make a short about it. Or if enough things pile up that's too long for a short, I'll make another video about it. So with that, I'm gonna get out of here. But, as always, if you like what you saw, hit... You know what? I don't care. I'm going to use my old intro because I don't care that the button's not right anymore. I don't have another outro. If you like what you saw, hit that big red button down there. Leave a like if you liked it. And as always, stay ultra. Bye, guys.
Just popping in because there's one more thing that you guys should probably know. So, in case you can't tell, Nino loves ACU a lot. Like, a lot. So much so that it's kind of a... It's not a joke, but for lack of a better word, a running joke, or running inside joke, that if he was ever gone, like, gone, in a way that she can get him back, then, well, let's just say it wouldn't be pretty. So, basically, I'm just gonna leave you with one thing. Beware the apocalypse. Also, hey, I'm Nene. I might pop in a time or two from now on, but for now that's all I'm gonna do because, like he said, this video is way too long as it is. Now back to the regularly scheduled outro. See you later!
Crack it.